how to find the perfect Saginaw home for sale in Saginaw. How to find the perfect house for sale in Saginaw. That is what we're covering today. We're going to get right into Saginaw real estate, home prices, property taxes, how to calculate our monthly mortgage payments. We're going to go into various scenarios. So our roadmap is pretty simple. We're going to talk about everything Saginaw. We're going to look at the things to consider if you're considering Saginaw, such as if you're looking to move into the area, or if you're already in the area and are thinking about moving up just to a different neighborhood. It's going to be for you. Then we're going to go into a really good detailed breakdown of a home that we're going to pretend to purchase through the various scenarios when it comes to financing. So that is in our roadmap today. So let me share our screen and we can get going. All right, Saginaw, Texas. And I know what some of you might be thinking right now. Where the heck is Saginaw? It's one of my favorite cities. Which at this point, I think the biggest thing is going to be, do we call it a city? Do we call it a town? That's going to be our biggest challenge today. So Saginaw, you can see right now we have about 83 homes for sale at $329,000. These are properties. That's 83 properties, which includes condos, you're not going to find condos there, commercial, land, townhouse, blah blah blah. So we're only going to leave single family residences, and that is all we're going to leave. Now this is this is available to you. This is linked down below, JaimeResendiz.exprealty.com. This is our version of an online portal, so this taps in directly into the MLS. So if you want to check this out, please do so. Now, if you want to stay over on Zillow, that's okay as well. I understand that interface is pretty cool. But if you are looking for a very accurate website that is tied into the MLS, then look no further than this website. Now, it is linked down below. So to answer the question of where the heck Saginaw is, it is north of Fort Worth, and it's you see this little strip right here. This one always gets me because I don't know how they came up with these boundary lines, but they did. So Saginaw again is located north of Fort Worth, which is really one of the first cities that you're gonna find outside of Fort Worth. So Saginaw, Watauga, North Richland Hills, Haltom City, Forest Hill, Edgecliff is not really a city, Benbrook, White Settlement. These are the closest cities that you can get to downtown Fort Worth, and also have some of the most favorable and affordable pricing. So that's why you see Saginaw growing as quickly as it has, where there's new construction every single day, and it's completely blown up for its standards in the sense that there's just so much construction going on here. And as you can see, it's not a big area. But anyway, 3 things to consider whenever you're looking to purchase a home. You're looking for the 3 C's. Number 1 is the commute. What type of commute do you want? As mentioned previously, a lot of our clients end up going with Saginaw because of its proximity to downtown Fort Worth. You can go through various roads to get into the city, whether it's 35, whether it's 199, or just through the back ways or more non-major highways. You can get downtown pretty easily, just depending on the time of day. So you have, again, the commute is a big consideration whenever you're looking to purchase a home. The second C is the community. What type of lifestyle are you looking to have? Are you looking for those restaurants? Are you looking for that nightlife? Are you looking for that historic scene? Are you looking for things to do outside? What does that look like? Now, I can tell you that when it comes to restaurants, when it comes to nightlife, when it comes to entertainment, you're not going to find that in Saginaw. It's a small town that is becoming a city because of all of the growth that's happening around it, and within it, you're not going to necessarily find a ton of things to do within Saginaw because given its size, it's relatively small. You're going to find a lot of things to do here on I-35 as you go up north of 820. You're going to see a lot of new entertainment options. You're going to see dining. You're going to see just a lot of different things that will keep you preoccupied. So as far as the community, you're going to find a tight-knit community in terms of knowing your neighbors. But as far as going out and doing things, that's going to be a little bit challenging in Saginaw. And then the third C is the cost. What's your budget? How can you afford to live in this particular in the particular city that you're looking for? So number one, the three C's is commute. What does the commute need to look like? That's going to factor in a ton into your home search. Two, what community are you looking for? So what type of environment, what type of lifestyle are you looking to have? And three is the cost. What's your budget? What does that need to look like? Those are the three things that we look for whenever we're searching for a home. So let's see how many homes we have available at this present time in Saginaw, and also what that real estate looks like. So we're going to go very briefly, since we only have 3 pages here and 59 homes to see. We're going to briefly see all of the homes just from the outside, and then we're going to drill down into one of them and do a actual comparison when it comes to loans. The least expensive home right now in Saginaw is it's just $200,000. It's $200,000. That is the least expensive home right now. Then you have 230, 240, 245. You're gonna have, let's see, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24. So you're gonna have about 25 homes. This is important here. You're gonna have about 25 homes under $300,000. So everything that you see here is under $300,000. Now this is, I can already tell this was a rehab property based off of what I'm seeing, the features that were added and how it was painted. So I can already see that this is gonna be like new, depending on how the investor and rehabber fixed up the inside. Now again, this is all under $300,000, and you can see there's plenty of brick here. You have your standard 3 to 4 beds, 2 bath, anywhere from 1,500 to 1,800 square feet. You're gonna find plenty of those opportunities in the city of Saginaw. All right, so let's go to the second page, and it continues. So you have 300,000 is where we start off here. Let me remove myself. That might make a better experience. 300,000, low 300,000 still. We're getting right into the medium price point. You're starting to see some homes right here under 400,000 that look like new. Now these are not new, but they are like new. You're looking at having been built in the last 5 years, and they look incredible. We might actually do. We're gonna do a breakdown on one of these two because I like those. I'm a sucker for the stone out front. Ooh, that's interesting. And then new construction. So the most expensive home right now in the city of Saginaw is $489,000, and a lot of the higher price properties are gonna be new construction. So as you can see, when it comes to Saginaw, real estate is not expensive in relation to the other cities in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. So if you work in Fort Worth and are needing to commute there, this is a big consideration. So a lot of our clients that we end up working with, we recommend either Saginaw. Up here we go a little bit north if they're a little bit more comfortable with a bit of a commute, and anywhere through here is a lot of opportunity when it comes to new construction, a lot of opportunity for appreciation over the years. So this is, let me zoom out real quick. So you have Saginaw, you have Hazlitt, you have Pecan Acres, Eagle Mountain, anything out west of I-35 West. I mean, you're looking at some incredible opportunities whenever you're looking to purchase a home. So this is what the real estate looks like. Let's do this. Let's go into the breakdown of a property that we're gonna run some numbers on, and then let's do a breakdown, and then let's actually run those numbers to see if we can afford the property. All right, so we're gonna go with, let's see, I saw this one first, and now that I'm looking at the information, so almost 2,168 square feet versus 1,800 square feet. We're gonna go with the larger home. We're gonna check it out, see what we got. All right, so here we go. $385,000 is what this property is being, what they're asking for on this property. So similar to your experience, on when you're looking for homes. I'm going to look at some basic information, and then also looking at the property. So first off, we're going to start off with looking at the property itself, because whenever we're scrolling through Zillows of the world, whenever we're scrolling through realtors of the world, it's really the property that stands out first, and then we get into the numbers and other details that will make or break it for our decision. So right out of the gate, I see a few things. I see that there's been a little bit of someone might have backed up too much here on the garage door, so that's something to take note of. I do like the brick. It's an interesting brick out here. You have some stone as well, and then you have some screens here. So this lets me know that most likely, you can't really tell right now because of either there's some, it might have been cloudy, or I don't know what's going on here. Yeah, it's probably cloudy. I don't think that that's AI. You see, this lets me know that this is probably east on the back side, and then west on the front side, where you're catching the sun setting and emitting a lot of heat. All right, so the outside looks good, looks fine. The landscaping looks decent. There's nothing too much to write home about. All right, so far, so good. All right, so you have some features here. They got some Santa Fe vibes going on. You got a pretty cool looking door with that little window in the middle. That's pretty cool. You have a keyless entry. Very cool door. And then you have hardwood floors. So yeah, this is a Santa Fe style. This is Santa Fe themed. So I don't know if they're from Santa Fe or they just enjoy that. Okay, what a spot. I like this. So this is our office. This is going to be the first room that you see over here on the right hand side. So you see those double entry doors that have windows looking into it. So it's not a standard door. And as you can see, it's a pretty cool layout, very cool layout for their office. And then the ceiling has a nice touch up there. I like this. So there's a lot of things that are happening right now for me. As I'm analyzing this property, I feel that this property is very well maintained. It was based off of the furniture that I'm seeing, based off of the layout that I'm seeing, the thought that they took care of. It lets me know, and it gives me that impression that they've taken really good care of their home based off of what I'm seeing. I'm not seeing a ton of, outside of the garage little accident, I'm not seeing a ton of clues that would say, hey, this property is poorly maintained or poorly treated. That is not the vibe that I'm getting here. Now, I know it sounds a little bit critical. I know it sounds a little bit like, oof, what? That sounds judgmental. But keep two things in mind. Number one, whenever you're purchasing a home, you don't have a ton of time in these homes. Whenever you go and see a home, oftentimes you're going to spend 30 to 45 minutes there, and you're going to be making a decision. Am I going to spend the however much it costs, $385,000? So do I feel comfortable enough to make an offer? If I don't, maybe I'll do a second showing. And in that second showing, I'm not going to spend a ton of time there either, another 30 minutes. So you're making a huge financial commitment within having seen a property for about an hour, right? So that's one of the reasons that I'm calling these things out as I'm sharing with you. Like, there's some minor things that can lead to some bigger things, which is actually the second thing. So number one, you're not spending a ton of time in these homes. So that's why I'm calling these out. So you have to be pretty observant. And then also the second is because the minor things can lead to the bigger things. If you find that the property looks a little bit like, as an example, from the outside, if you see that the landscape is just pretty not taken care of, it kind of gives you an idea of how they might have been treating their home on the inside. Now, I know it sounds judgmental. I know that sounds a bit harsh, but it's the small things that can eventually lead to the bigger things. So we're looking for as much context as possible. We're trying to construct a picture of however many years this individual has lived in this home, or how this home has been treated over the years that it's been in existence. So we don't have that much time to make this assessment, and also the small things can lead to the big things. That's why I'm sharing some of the things that I'm sharing with you. And I'm not trying to be a jerk. I'm not trying to be offensive. just sharing with you the things that I would look for as I'm looking for property myself, and also the things that I advise our clients as we go through and look at properties, because it's my job to protect our clients as we do that. All right, so let's see. So, okay, so this is the back of it. So that's the entrance back here. And I like the way that they've laid out the picture. So kudos to you, listing agent. You've done a phenomenal job doing that. So you have the entrance right here, and then this little place for coats and stuff. Ooh, I like this. Very well designed, very well layout. Not very well layout. Good layout, but also well designed, and they match the entire Santa Fe theme very, very well. So you have the open kitchen. You have granite countertops. This is I don't know if these, I'm pretty sure that these were not stained in this color. They were more matched later or added later. You have the backsplash with some tile back there. I can see that this is a gas stove, so we have a gas a community here. You have the pantry back here, which is basically anywhere from here to back here, which is a really good size, or a decent size for what most families are looking for. You have your washer, decent size sinks. You have your, what is that over there? So you have the entrance over here, and then off to the left, so off to the immediate left, right over here, what you're seeing behind this wall, that's going to be your garage. And then over here, you're going to see the laundry room coming right out of the garage. So I like the openness here. Plenty of counter space for my taste. Stainless steel appliances. And then you have your living room here. I like this. This layout gives me the MI layout, MI Homes layout. It's what I feel like this home is. It's what I feel the builder was, MI Homes, most likely. Just based off of the layout and their little archway here. All right, good looking. So this is 2130 something square feet, over to 2100 square feet. Now you have a room here. I don't know if this is your primary or just another room. Yep, this is your primary right here. You have some big furniture, so keep in mind this is either a queen or a king. This is the queen, and you have decent sized furniture, like good sized furniture here, so you can fit a lot in this particular room. You have some there, some here, some there, some there, and this is good sized furniture. This is like real wood. This is heavy furniture. I would not want to be the mover of this family. No offense. You have your primary bath. You have tub and standing shower. What year was this? Looking at the fixtures there. 2005. So it's a 9-year-old property. Okay, fair enough. So you have one sink, right? No, you have two sinks. Okay, that's what I was curious about. This is your second room, I believe, which is also being used as an office. We've got a lot of office work out of here, and you're gonna see that quite a bit. So there's something that I do whenever we're looking at homes. The further that we get away from downtown, if you will, we do notice quite a bit of office setups, whether it's their fourth bedroom or third bedroom, depending on the size of the family. We do see a good amount of office setups because for them, in many cases, it's not a super requirement for them to be downtown, and given that they do not have to commute. I know that I'm generalizing, but I'm just, after seeing so many thousands of properties at this point, you start seeing some same things over and over again. So it's not uncommon to see multiple office setups for the homes that you go into. Now this is a cool room. I would like this room. Very cool. I was about to say a comment that was inappropriate, like, well, I'll say it. I don't think they have enough toys. Now that is a judgmental. that is a haterade. That's me drinking off the haterade. because I know I didn't have that many toys growing up. All right, so this is this a this appears to be a Jack and Jill bathroom, kind of. I'm looking at the two sinks. So that's a closet. Or okay, no, that's the room. This might not be a Jack and Jill bathroom. Interesting. I'd have to see it. I really like their design. Very good design. You have this is a good size patio back here. You have some room for your swing set. You have a room for your to become the grill master over here. Okay, I'll be honest. It looked a lot larger when I was looking at it here. This is an 8x8. That's okay, which is decent size enough. So you have. They took the Santa Fe to heart. So this is something that not everybody's gonna be gung ho about. The design of this is very personalized. So in some cases, they're just gonna. Some people will see it as an opportunity to completely redo this. Some people will see it as an opportunity to leave it as is. Some people are going to leave this as an opportunity to, if it dies, it dies. I'm not gonna maintain this. But you're gonna find that this back here, this is owned by the HOA. I'm assuming that there's an HOA based off of this and some other context clues, which the HOA is responsible. Now that's good and bad. It doesn't necessarily leave you with the most flexibility on how you want to do things or when you think it should be done, but it does give you the flexibility that somebody else is picking up the tab whenever this needs to get redone. But as mentioned, again, it depends on the HOA, depends on a lot of things. But if this is kind of leaning and you're kind of, well, I mean, I wish somebody, if it was mine, I would actually want to redo it myself right now, but you're at the mercy of the HOA of whenever they want to replace it or whenever they want to repair something. So you might find yourself running for HOA president to kind of pull your weight around there is ultimately what's going to happen. Now, something that I want to call out real quick is the gutters. You have gutters all the way around. That's not normal. Well, let me rephrase that. It's not common. It's everybody will love gutters all the way around, but it's not as common as you would think, especially with new communities. So I almost guarantee you that they added the gutters after the fact, and they added them all across everywhere. So we don't get, we do get it over here. So I like that. I like that aspect. Gutters are, I know they're subtle, and I almost missed them and didn't call them out. They get expensive. They get pricey, and especially all the way through. So you're going to find them in the front, the sides, and the back. That is not as common as one would think. Now, something that I do have to call out, because we do have, well, several reasons, but you have the power lines up here. Not everybody's looking for that. I know I have quite a few clients that have brought that type of concern up. Rightly so. I understand that power lines, there's risk to them. There's some risk to, especially if they're right on top of it, and also just with the I don't want to say radiation. Whatever they emit, just the energy that they emit, it can those radio waves. I don't know anything about that, but anyway, the waves that they emit can get very, very. Not everybody's looking for that, right? So actually, nobody's looking for that. Everyone just tolerates it, if you will. So that's something to call out, and then also the easement. But with that, with this wall back here, you can already assume that there is an easement. And with this, the power lines where they're at, you for sure know that there's an easement to the public utilities. If they need access to this area right here for whatever reason, if they want to make a pull, they're going to make that pull. And they're not going to, they might let you know that it's happening, but they're certainly not going to ask you. There's an easement here that will allow them to do that without your permission, just as a heads up. And then you have the pool. So yeah, this is for sure in an HOA. We already knew that, but Saginaw Springs looks like a good entryway, and it's been very well maintained. So it sounds like it's a decent HOA. Let's see how much that's going to cost us. All right, so now that we've seen the property, again, it's a beautiful property, very well maintained, very well thought out. So let's see what's happening. Oh, okay, this explains quite a bit. Model home for sale. Whenever you see model home for sale, and the reason that us real estate agents make it a point to call that out is because whenever there's a model that is sold, that typically means that it has all of the upgrades that the builder was including at that point in time. So whenever you walk into a new build community, you walk into a model home, and that model home has every upgrade known to that builder, whether it's the tile, whether it's the hardwood floors, whether it's the updated faucet, it's the all this type of updates that you could possibly think of. It will include it in that model home. Why? Well, whenever you walk in, you want your home to look exactly like that model home, except that model home will have 30 to, I mean, you can go way over $100,000 in upgrades depending on the price point that you're in. So that's what they're essentially, they know what they're doing, and that's what they do it. They include all of the upgrades that known demand. So that's why we call that out, because typically the person that benefits from the model home is the individual that buys it after the first owner, because it's it has all the upgrades and it's not always factored in the comps. Just as a pro tip, this is a rare opportunity to snag what was once the model home in the highly desirable Saginaw Springs subdivision. Lots of upgrades with this one, including a stunning front elevation. So yeah, elevation is essentially what you see in the front up here. So some of these elevations, believe it or not, if you've ever bought a new home, you can back me up on this. You have different elevations up here, like elevation A, elevation B, elevation C. Depending on what you choose, it's going to cost you more. So this has that turret, this little castle looking thing. That could have been an upgrade, and most likely was. So that's what they're referring to. Beautiful colored ceiling in your bonus home office. See, the home office is nice, super nice. Naughty Adler cabinets in the kitchen. Yeah, I've seen this before. I just have never known how to say it. Crown molding. I didn't call that out, so shame on me. And segmented archways. I did call out the archways because, again, I feel like this was probably an MI home. Perhaps a perfect open floor plan with a split bedroom layout and a private primary bedroom. This well-maintained home offers 4 bedrooms plus that home office you need. Walking distance. So very, very well put here. You have the 4 bedrooms, which it looks like 2 of them were being used for their family needs, and then 2 were bedrooms. Walking distance to the community pool, grill out on your covered back porch with a fan to keep you cool. Great location and close to all the amenities, blah, blah, blah. Short drive to Eagle Mountain Park and Lake. You'll really love this tidy neighborhood. Near roof, approximately 2 years. Okay. Solar screens on all windows. Come quick. I'll say it. Not bad. Not bad at all. I like this. I'm glad that we're going to pretend to buy this right now. All right. So this is in Tarrant County. So that's something that's going to come into play whenever we do our property taxes. So I'll show you how to do that. 2005. So it's a 2005. We're about 9 years in. Right now, the one thing that you might consider looking at is going to be your water heater. Water heater still has some room to run, but just kind of a heads up, start looking at that. Your HVAC still has some good room to run. I would give it 5 to 15 years it could be. And based off of what I saw here, again, I'm making a lot of assumptions here, but you have that short window and the small things lead to the big things. I do think that they probably maintain their HVAC unit good enough to where you're not going to need to replace it the moment that you walk in. Nor would you. It's 9 years. So an HVAC unit, you can make it run from 15 to 30 years, just depending on how well you keep it running. But on average, you're looking 15 to 20 years of a good HVAC, and you would call it a good life of that unit. Taxes, $84.72. Don't get married to this number. I'm going to show you how to calculate the property taxes for your what you would be paying. This one is what the homeowner is paying. It doesn't mean that that's what you're going to be paying because of the assessed value. It's going to change whenever you own it. And 2, the exemptions that they have access to might be different than the ones that you have access to. So you might have more exemptions than they do, or you might have less exemptions than they do. We don't necessarily know yet. 4 bedrooms, 2 full bath, square footage 2163, and on a 0.153 acres, so a little bit over a fifth of an acre. I'm sorry, an eighth of an acre, which an eighth of an acre is 0.125. All right, so the rest of the information is pretty standard here. Association fees, $480 is not bad. $480 is actually on par, so not a big red flag at all. So the HOA fee, $480 is not bad at all. We have Eagle Mountain Saginaw ISD. We're going to need to make note of that because we're going to fit that into our property tax assessment. And then the rest of the information, HOA is annually. That's okay. All right, the rest of the information is pretty standard, so you can check that out on your day off. What we're going to do now is we are going to go over here. We're going to go to our Loan Clarity Advisor, which is linked down below. This is essentially going to compare multiple loans against each other. We're going to do 3 different scenarios on how we could purchase this property. We're going to go with the low down payment option, then we're going to also go with the higher down payment option. Now, if you're new to this and want a lot of the work being done for you already, then just hit Use Estimates and hit Texas and toggle these these sliders every which way after we find out this information that I'm going to share with you here shortly. But what we're going to do to get more accurate information, we're going to go with the exact amounts. Here we're going to do some math. So you're going to see me use the calculator and we're going to get to some real numbers. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to purchase this property for $385. All right. And then what we need to find now is we need to go over to Saginaw, Texas property tax rate. And we're going to go to, so we just Googled and we're going to go to their website to see if they give us that information. And they do. Beautiful. Way to go, Saginaw. You get an A+. Now, the reason that I'm pretty excited about this is because not all cities make it this easy. There's some cities that essentially just hide this information, don't think to include this information, or just off wet presenting this information. Saginaw is not one of them, so A+, Saginaw. This allows us to spend more time speaking about the property taxes and their implications rather than searching for them, which can get taxing. And if you've been following this channel in any way, shape, or form, you can attest to me spending 20 minutes trying to find property tax information for some of these cities out here. All right, so let's talk about property taxes. Number one, whenever you purchase a property, you're paying property taxes. If you've been renting, if you've been leasing, that might be a new concept for you, so just be aware of that. It became a complete shocker to me. I had no idea that I was paying more in property taxes than what I was paying in my apartment back whenever I bought my first house. So number one, when you become a homeowner, you're paying property taxes. The moment you stop paying property taxes is when you sell that house. So at that point, it's somebody else's problem. So when you become an owner, you're paying property taxes. Number two, the property taxes in Texas are relatively high when you compare them to the rest of the country. Texas is actually the 6th highest property tax rate, has the 6th highest property tax rate in the country, with New Jersey being number 1. So number 2, we take our property taxes seriously around here. So that's why I spend so much time here sharing with you how to calculate this, how to find this, and the implications that come along with property taxes. Number 3, in Dallas-Fort Worth, so in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, you have about 80 cities that, well, you have way more than that. I'll stop going on that point. In the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, regardless of the city that you buy in, you're going to look for at least 3 numbers to when it comes to your property taxes. So you're going to find those 3 numbers, add them together, at least 3. But in most DFW cities in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, you're going to look for you could potentially find up to 5 numbers. So I'll share with you what those are. So the 3 numbers that you're going to have to find regardless of the city that you're moving into is the city tax rate, that's 1, the county tax rate, that's 2, and the ISD tax rate, that's 3. Those are the 3 numbers that you're going to need to find regardless of where you're buying. Add them together and have a true property tax rate. So those are the 3 that you're going to find everywhere. The other 2 that you could potentially find, that you could potentially run into, not all the time, but you could, are the higher education tax, so think of like community colleges, and the hospital network tax. So think of like if you're in Fort Worth, JPS, John Peter Smith hospital network. If you're in Dallas, Parkland Hospital or hospital network. In this particular case, we're running into all 5. This is not abnormal. In fact, this is common. So don't be shocked. Don't be afraid. This is how it works here. So city of Saginaw, remember that's the first one that we're looking for. We have it. The county, we have it because we're in Tarrant County. The ISD, we have it because it's part of it, right? So it's Eagle Mountain, Saginaw ISD. So these are 3 numbers that we're going to have regardless. The other 2, which are not always present, but in this case they are, is that higher education tax that I was telling you about, so the community colleges, and then the hospital network, so JPS. So you're looking at 2.25 in property taxes, essentially. 2.25 in property taxes. So what we're going to do is we are going to do that math real quick. What we're going to do is this. We're going to go to our calculator. Where's my calculator? There we go. We're going to go 0.02247. So 0.02247, we're taking the property tax rate right here. And we are multiplying that, because we're trying to get exact, times the market value of the home. Now, I specifically say market value because we're not using the assessed value. The assessed value is actually a little bit lower, and it's something that is you get access to whenever you it's something that the county appraisal district uses to actually multiply it against this particular rate. So in most cases, the assessed value is lower than the market value. But given that I want to give a more conservative number to you today, and something that can only go lower whenever you purchase, I'm using the market value because I know market value almost always is going to be higher than the assessed value. So that's why. So I'm going to multiply this times the market value of the home. And the taxes that you're looking at are $86.50. So $86.50. Let me see how much this one had. See, a little bit higher than this particular tax that the present owners are paying. So what we're going to do is we're going to divide that $86.50 tax bill per year. We're going to divide it into 12 because we need the monthly. And we're going to say it's $720. Oh, we're going to say $721. It's better to round up. There we go. $721 monthly tax. Now, homeowners insurance. Homeowners insurance is what we do is just get a ballpark number, and the best ballpark number is going to be achieved by multiplying the purchase price, the market value of the home, times 0.75%. Now, where's 0.75%? Just historical averages, 0.75%. So it's less than 1% that we're going to multiply it with to get us an estimated monthly premium. So again, we're estimating what the home insurance amount is going to be. Now, as home insurance continues to rise, don't use 0.75%, use 0.8, because the home insurance premiums continue to rise whether we like it or not. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the value of the home, $385,000, and we're going to multiply it times 0.0075. It's important you put the 0.00s because this is not 1%, it's 0.75%. So 0.0075. And what we're going to come up with is $28.87 in yearly insurance premium. So we're going to divide that by 12, and that lets us know that we're paying about $241 in monthly insurance. Home insurance is going to be, that premium is going to be $241. Now, this is an estimate. This is something that is not going to be exact, but this is a really, really good estimate. So you can kind of make decisions based off of that number. Now we got to go back here and we got to find out what the HOA situation is like. It's 480 divided by 12. It should be 40, and it is. Now, although HOA is not part of your monthly mortgage payment, we do like to budget that in with our decisions whenever it comes to home ownership. So we've done the breakdown that is historically done wrong in the online portals. So we've made it more accurate. Now we can make some better decisions around it. Let's continue. Now we're going to find 3 different ways to finance this purchase. We're going to use conventional 5% down, FHA 5% down, and we're going to go back to the conventional well, and we're going to put 20% down. All right, so we're going to go conventional 5, FHA 5, conventional 20. With option 1, since we're going to go conventional 5%, we are going to be paying what's called mortgage insurance. Why is that the case? Well, with option 1 and number 2, in fact, since we didn't put 20% down, we're paying what's called mortgage insurance. That insurance is something that the lender takes out on you. So it's insurance that they take out on you that you get to pay the premiums on. They take out on you in the event that you default. So this gives them an extra layer of safety, so they could essentially recoup their expense, recoup their cost in the event that you default. Not so, yes, they can obviously take, and they will take the home back, but they also have an insurance on you in the event that you default, right? So that's where that mortgage insurance comes into play. Now, if you get a conventional loan, that mortgage insurance eventually goes away. And I'll show you the exact point that goes away here shortly. In an FHA loan, whenever you're purchasing and you don't put 20% down, you're looking at paying that mortgage insurance as well, but that mortgage insurance never goes away. That's a big difference. Conventional mortgage insurance eventually falls away. FHA stays there for the life of the loan. Those are 2 big distinctions. All right, so loan type, conventional, FHA, conventional. And as you see, depending on what you have, if you have jumbo, if you get a portfolio loan, if you get a VA, USDA, this tool has it all. This is linked down below. And also, if you go to winthehouseyoulove.com and go to their tools section, you're going to find this calculator for your use as well. This was created by a good friend of the channel, Kyle Seagraves, and his YouTube channel is Win the House You Love here on YouTube. Phenomenal resource if you're looking for any type of real estate information. All right, so here we're going to move this, but before I do, just want to make note that if you get a conventional loan, you can put as little as 3% down. You don't have to put 5%. We're using 5% just to standardize this, and also because that's what a lot of our clients end up using, 5% down. FHA, the minimum down payment there that you can put down is 3.5%. So just a little bit more than the lowest number that conventional gives you access to. And then here we're going to put 20% because that's what we said we were going to do. We have a conventional loan, FHA loan, then back to conventional with a different down payment. The length of the loan is going to be 30, which is pretty standard. So we're going to keep it at that. And then the interest rate. The interest rate moves every hour. So depending on when you're watching this video, a week from now, a year from now, 20 years from now, the interest rate is going to be different. I can guarantee you that. So the best thing to do is just to go and search for that number right now. So what is the interest rate right now? And what we're going to do is we're going to go to bank rate, and we're going to see what's going on at this point in time. And at the time of this recording of August 20th, we have a average in Texas of 6.6 for a 30-year and a 5.94 for a 15-year. Since we're doing a 30-year, we're going to go with 6.6. So we're going to use 6.6 for this one, 6.6 for this one, 6.6 for this one. This is going to be our interest rate that we're going to allocate throughout the loan. Now, in all transparency, your interest rate is going to fluctuate depending on the loan that you get. So as an example, your conventional is going to look different if you put more money down. So it's not going to be the exact same, but for the sake of this example, just to show you how this model works, we're going to at least present as many things equal as possible and not as many variables to it, because I want to compare as close to possible apples to apples, as opposed to apples to pears and oranges. All right, so points. What are points? Points are essentially you buying down the interest rate. So if you get an interest rate of 6.6%, you could buy down 1 point, which does not mean that you're buying down an entire interest point. It just means that you buy 1 point is going to be roughly 0.25% less than this. So 0.25%. It could be more, it could be less. Just give you some decent ranges here. So this means that this would be, you could, if you buy down 1 point, your interest rate could go down to 6.35 or so. Again, it could be higher, it could be lower. It depends on different factors. But at the end of the day, just to give you some numbers that are reasonable here, you could lower this interest rate to 6.35% by purchasing 1 point. Now, how much is that point going to cost us? Well, you would just multiply 1% times the loan that you took out. So if you took out $350,000 of loan, that would be $3,500 to buy down that point. So to buy down 1 point, it's going to cost you 1% of the loan amount, is another way of saying that. Hopefully that makes sense. And you can buy multiple points, but at some point, it gets very, very expensive to where it's not worth it. Lender fees. Lender fees are going to vary across the board. Lender fees are going to just, is something that I encourage you to, once you get various quotes from folks, whether it's your Chase loan, whether it's your Allied First Bank loan, your Wells Fargo loan, Rocket Mortgage, input their fees here because they will disclose those to you so you can compare what your loans would look like in the bank that you decide to go with. For our purposes today, we're going to leave those blank for now. I'm more interested in having this math conversation, this finance conversation, than what the fees that the lenders are going to charge you because they vary across the board. All right, so monthly mortgage insurance is something we've talked about earlier. Since these two options are option one and option number two, since we're putting 5% down, which is less than 20%, we are paying mortgage insurance. Now, as a reminder, with the conventional one, it eventually goes away. With FHA, it doesn't go away. It stays there for the life of the loan. Extra payments. You can make extra payments, of course, and this tool will allow you to factor that in. If you want to make extra payments per month or do a lump sum, you can add that to your calculation. So if you know that you're going to be making extra payments, it'll let you know how much faster, how much you're ultimately going to pay on that loan without having to have a fancy Excel sheet that just becomes impossible to create. This has already created that for you, so you can just use this tool. Now, when we talk about comparing loans, it goes down like this. This is going to compare the three scenarios that we just went to, loan 1, loan 2, and loan 3, and it lets you know how much it cost you for that loan. So it doesn't tell you the principal, it tells you the interest and how much it actually cost you for that loan over the years. So here after 10 years, you see that it cost you $189,000 over those 10 years for a conventional 20%. For a conventional 5%, it costs you $246, and for a FHA 5% down, it costs you a little bit more by $252,000. And this is the breakdown. This is after 10 years. You see that the conventional costs you $189, which is $63,000 less than the FHA, and is $56,000 less than the conventional 5%. Right? So if you put 20% more, you save more in the cost of your loan, which makes sense because you borrowed less. Now, I also recognize one big thing that's going to come up is, well, hell, yeah, I would love to put 20% down, but that's $77,000. That is a lot of money, and I agree with you. That is a lot of money. Not everybody is in a position to do this. But the good thing is, we don't have to be in this position. We can put as little as 3% down here on conventional and as little as 3.5% down on FHA. That's the beauty. That's the incredible thing from this. If you are in a position to put 20% down, then you have that option of, well, if I do put 20% down, is it worth it for me to save $63,000 over these next 10 years? So that's your decision to make. We just provide this information for you. Now, after the 30 years are up, you would have saved $125,000 compared to an FHA, 5%, and $96,000 compared to a 5% down. So again, you're saving $96,000 over those 30 years. Is it worth it to you? Do you have another place that you could have parked this $77,000, or in reality about $50,000, where you could have earned more? Maybe you do, maybe you don't. I don't know. But that's really the that's a question for you to answer. All right, so let's talk about monthly payments because that's going to come up for sure. Year 1 is going to look different than year 5, year 10, year 30. So year 1, just to give you an idea, you're looking at $35.21 as your monthly mortgage payment for a conventional 5% down, $35.30 for an FHA, and a conventional would be about $29.69. So a little bit less than $3,000. This is year 1. This is what the breakdown would be. Now the commonality, but a quick reminder real quick, this is all based off of the same interest rate, just the same exact interest rate. Know that the conventional interest rate is going to be different than the FHA interest rate. And so is the conventional 20% down. So these numbers are actually going to be way more exaggerated once you put in the actual quotes that you're getting. You're going to find yourself that the FHA is going to be a little bit more expensive than this. But we're gonna keep moving. We're gonna try to keep as many things the same as possible because the math is gonna show you, is gonna arrive at the outcomes, just not at the extremes that in real life you're gonna find. Now the similarities between the three loans is very is something I want to call out real quick. Well, I can't highlight all three. You're going to find that in all three scenarios, in all three loans, conventional 5, FHA 5, conventional 20, you're going to find that such little amount goes to the principal at the beginning of the loan, so in year 1, and how much goes to interest. So essentially, the big payment that you're making every single month, you're going to find such little of it goes to the actual principal to pay down your debt, and so much goes to the interest. So you're paying a lot more towards interest than the principal. So this can be better appreciated on the amortization table. You're going to see that this payment where you add together the principal and the interest stays the same, and that'll stay the same for the life of the loan. But what's not going to stay the same is how much you pay towards principal and how much you pay towards interest. At the beginning of your loan and at the beginning of everything, you're going to be paying much less to principal than you are to interest. In fact, you're not going to get to pay more in principal than in interest up until year 19, year 20. That's shocking, right? So here we are on year 10. You're still paying so much less than so much less towards principal than you are towards interest. And if we fast forward to year about 20 or so, which would be 240, you start seeing that it finally inverts right around here. So about 19 years and 6 months or so. You finally see where this number becomes more than the interest. And then, it continues to go up. The principal payment, that is the buying down of the principal. So that's eye-opening to say the least, but I just wanted you to be aware of that because it matters, right? So understanding how that works matters. All right, so taxes, we factored in the taxes already. The property tax rate, we took that into consideration since we went straight to Saginaw and got that information. The homeowner's insurance, we made an estimated guess, which is going to be pretty spot on. Mortgage insurance, we know that we're paying mortgage insurance because we didn't put 5%, we didn't put 20% down, and we know that there's an HOA. But a quick reminder here: this HOA fee is paid at the beginning of the year via an invoice, not in your monthly mortgage payment. So again, HOA, we're factoring it in here just so you see that it's something that you're going to be incurring, but it's not something that you're going to be paying in your monthly mortgage payment. Now that's year 1. Now if you want to see what your payments will look like after year like 20 and 19 or so, this is how the math works out. So you can toggle that around. And at any point, if you want to see how much equity you have, this would be a really good illustrations here, by the way. If you want to see how much equity you have in 20 years, so essentially how much of the home you own after 20 years, you're going to see that you haven't even broke 50% in the first 20 years. With the exception of conventional, because you've put 20% down, which was a big amount. So you may be thinking, well, Jaime, how is it that I've already paid 66% of the loan length, so 20 out of 30 years, that I already have 20 years in this loan, and I still haven't paid at minimum 50%. So how is that the case? Well, the reason being is because of that amortization table. You saw that most of your initial payments for the first 20 years were going towards principal. It didn't invert until you got until year 19 or around between 19 and 20 years. So most of it was going towards interest. You weren't paying down the principal all that much for those first several years. So that's why after 20 years, you still haven't owned 50% of the home. It accelerates as you get going on further on, because then you're paying more towards principal, not the interest. That's why you see such a big discrepancy. And the only thing I want to share about the loan details here is when on paper your mortgage insurance falls away with that conventional 5% down. So here after 10 years and 5 months, your mortgage insurance goes away with a conventional. This is on paper. This does not factor in appreciation. Appreciation will allow this to go a lot quicker. All right. Now, one of the things that I really, really appreciate about this particular tool is this breakdown here. This will allow you to see what it would look like if you buy versus rent. And this gives you an idea of your exit strategy and how big of an investment, good or bad, it could be if you buy this particular house. So in this particular house, we're buying it for $385,000. And we're going to say, hey, after 10 years, I want to sell this house. That is my plan. That's what I want to do. Okay. Well, we can assume a few things in order to get a very clear answer as to how much I would have made, how much I would have not made, and all that fun stuff. So after 10 years, if we assume that the appreciation of that home was a modest 3% per year, which is reasonable, we're going to assume that. We're going to say 3% year over year. It's going to be our appreciation rate. After those 10 years, it's going to cost me about 6% to sell this property. And that property is going to factor in real estate commissions. This number is going to factor in title work. Whatever you want it to be, you can toggle that left and right. I'm just going to leave it at 6% to include as much as possible in the cost to sell. Tax increase per year. We know that taxes are going to be a thing, that they're going to rise. So we're going to say that property taxes are going to rise about 3% per year, and how much we're paying for them. And we're also going to assume that the insurance will increase per year, let's say by 3% as well, because we know the cost to insure a property continues to rise. So we're going to make these assumptions, which are very reasonable assumptions. Now, if you want to make them a little bit more extreme, by all means, please play around with this. Again, this is linked down below, where you can go to winthehouseyoulove.com and get that information there. But at the end of the day, in these next 10 years, you have a housing need, right? So you're gonna need to live somewhere. So this gives you a breakdown of what that would look like, of the benefit of buying versus and the actual cost of it, right? So after those 10 years, your home would have appreciated $132,000, regardless of how you financed it. The cost to sell would be about $31,000, regardless of how you financed it. The loan cost will change because of how you financed it. So here, after the conventional would be $246, FHA would be $252, conventional would be $189. In terms of cost, the property taxes, you would have paid property taxes of $99,000, $99.99, and then homeowners insurance, you would have paid $33,000, and HOA you would pay $4,800. So essentially, this is a positive number, and the rest of these numbers are negative numbers. So it costs you $281,000 to live in this particular home when you factor all of this in. When you factor in the appreciation, when you factor in the homeowner's insurance, when you factor in property taxes and everything in between, you see the differences between 5% conventional and FHA and 20% conventional. That was the cost. Now, for a comparison, if you were to do a rental payment of $22.46 per month of a comparable home, you with an increase of 3% per year on your rent, your housing cost would have been $308,000 or $309,000 over those same 10 years. So you see that it actually cost you less to buy this home and live in this home for 10 years. Now, you may be thinking, well, you know what? It's not I thought the difference was going to be much larger. And I agree with you. Now, here's the thing. Notice that these first 10 years, a lot of this particular cost went into the loan cost. So those first 10 years, what happened? Well, most of that expense was going into the interest. So if you extrapolate it, if you go out to 30 years through the life of that loan, you still have the same housing need. You still have the same housing need of buying a house. Of living in a house. So that living expense is still going to be there. You still have the decision. Is it going to be a rental? Is it going to be home ownership? Where you're going to see that the cost doesn't go up as much as you would think when you compare it to the first 10 years. Right? So this is after a 30-year breakdown. But if you see what happens over those same 30-year breakdowns when it comes to rent, now you start seeing some huge differences. Even if you go down to, let's say, if you had no increase over those 30 years, how much you would have paid in rent for 30 years of your monthly rental payment. So this is where you see a big difference between owning a home long term versus not owning a home and not really benefiting from that appreciation, which is what you see be such a huge driver of that growth, right? Even if it doesn't appreciate, let's see what that difference would be. Then it would go extremely high. If your home does not appreciate, which would be in those 30 years, we've seen what prices have done over the last 30 years. So that's not a realistic scenario, but even then it's not as extreme as one would think. Alrighty, crew. Well, I appreciate the heck out of you. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, please feel free to drop them in the comment section. If you found some value, go ahead and hit that like button and hit that subscribe button. If we can serve you, if you're looking to buy or sell in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, certainly reach out to us. We would love to support you. Outside of that, I'll see you on the next one.